Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up. These are all the books that I read in the later half of July. Starting off, I read Stolen by the Orc Commander by K.L. Wyatt. I ended up picking this up because I thought it would be kind of like Captured by the Orc General by Charlotte Swan, but it ended up not being nearly as good. This is about our heroine Snow and our hero Azog. We are told that we have a badass heroine here in our midst, but really we don't really get to see that. We are just kind of told that, and I think that was mostly my issue with this book. And she is currently stealing from the king of the land, and she gets into some trouble and she ends up being rescued by the Orc General, Orc Commander, and he hates humans. And he has a valid reason for hating humans, but he is instantly attracted to our heroine. He treats her shitty though, even though he feels his connection to her. The writing seemed corny to me at times. They kind of like get over this hump of him hating all humans because he's different, and then he ends up breaking her heart because he needs to go fight in a war or whatever. I enjoyed it at the time that I was reading it. Like, I enjoyed parts of it, but I didn't love it. And the only thing that kind of low-key kept me going was the whole wolf idea, because there are these wolves in this book and orcs ride them because they're large wolves. They're like ice wolves. They're basically like the horses for the orcs, but they're wolves, and I thought that was so cool. And you kind of have like to tame one and to claim one as your own, and I thought that was really cool. But other than that, I gave it 3 stars. Next up, I ended up reading Rock God by Cassie Mint. I truly really loved this one. This is like a best friends to lovers. So our hero and our heroine have known each other since they were younger. Our hero ends up becoming a rock star, and later on in this novella you get to find out why he became a rock star. But because he went into fame, she just ends up writing him letters, and they send letters back and forth. I can't remember if he replies to the letters or not, but I will say I don't think he does, because she ends up getting like kind of frustrated that she's the only one sending letters, and he probably thinks that it's funny that she's still sending letters to him because he's so famous he doesn't care about her. She ends up sending one last letter telling him that she's no longer gonna write. So this pushes our hero to send her this invitation to a wedding, and he books her the plane ticket and the hotel to this small town, and this is where they kind of confront their feelings for each other. I honestly really loved this. The concept was so different. I hadn't read anything like it before. It's Cassie Mint. There's a ton of pining from both characters. I especially love the hero and the reasonings behind why he became famous and all of this stuff, and the smut was really good. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave Rock God by Cassie Mint 4 stars. Next book that I ended up reading was Can I Come Over by Whitney G. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I really enjoyed this one. This one was so different from anything that I had read as well. We have our heroine who is a novella author. She writes erotic romances, and she signs up to this like author pen pal website, and this is where she meets our hero. So they have letters back and forth, and they end up just getting to know each other. They have this amazing banter through letters or emails or whatever, that they just get to know each other. He helps her with her novellas, and then eventually they decide to meet up. But when the heroine meets up with the hero, she comes to find out that he is her dad's best friend. So definitely age gap, smutty, good old time. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so different and very entertaining. Then I ended up picking up Mute by M.L. Nystrom. I picked this up because it sounded interesting, and I really wanted to read this book for the disability rep, and I think it's like a novella length book, and it is an MC romance as well, so that's another reason why I picked it up. I finished it, but I don't know why. It was very corny, and I didn't connect or believe in either of the characters or the relationship. I thought the hero was an asshole for literally no reason, and our heroine was kind of a pushover. And the minute that our hero Mute gives her literally 1 ounce of attention, she like folds, and I didn't really like it, and I just didn't believe it, and I honestly should have DNF'd it. Then I ended up picking up Blast from the Past by Kane. I gave this 4 stars because I was so surprised surprise, but I really loved this. This concept was so different and unique. So we have our heroine and our hero. Our heroine is actually just gotten back from her grandmother's funeral, and her grandmother used to tell her this story about this tree that's on her farm. She is feeling very lonely. She doesn't have a strong connection with her mother, so she starts applying this story about this tree and saying this chant, and she ends up hearing this voice through the tree, and it is our hero. He ends up traveling from the past. He goes through this tree and they kind of meet each other. They are soulmates, fated mates, all of that, and it is a hot cowboy from the past, and it was great. The smutty scenes were amazing. I loved the plot. I thought it was entertaining. Honestly, this was just hot, and it was what I needed at the time. I mean, I gave it 4 stars because I loved it. Obviously, it was corny at times. It was over the top at times. I was just kind of like rolling my eyes in some parts, but if I think about it overall in my enjoyment of this novella, I had a great time. I think you should definitely read it. Next up, I ended up reading Minx by Sophie Lark. I did do a reading vlog for this book, so I will link that up in the cards for you guys to check out. I also ended up reading Meet Your Match by Candy Steiner. I also read this in that reading vlog, so make sure you guys check out that video after this one. After reading those 2 books, I ended up picking up The Stoneheart Bride by Katie Wilde. I had read Evil Twin by Katie Wilde and loved that book, and I had heard my bestie Ava talking about The Stoneheart Bride, and it sounded very good, so I decided to pick it up. We have our heroine Flora, and she basically is on her way somewhere. Her carriage gets ambushed, and then we have our hero general, I can't remember his name. He comes and saves her, and she is very heartbroken because she had gotten to know the general throughout the time that he had stayed at her castle kingdom. She had overheard the hero saying that he would never marry her to her uncle, and so she's very heartbroken, but the hero does want her. But there's a lot of miscommunication in this novella, and I think that just really brought it down for me. The main plot point in this was miscommunication, and it wasn't my favorite. I feel like they should have just said what they needed to say and cleared stuff up, but they just have smutty good old times and then they clear it up at the end, and I don't know. It was good for what it was, but the miscommunication trope really brought the book down for me, but it was a fun read. Next up, I ended up reading Sweet Psycho by Minx. I hadn't read a Minx in a while, I believe, but I saw this one and it sounded very interesting. We have a heroine who basically is like a hacker, and we have a hero who is also a hacker, but he was also in like the Black Ops or something. He's off the grid though. He has got his nice little home and he has set it up and nobody can find him, nobody can get to him. We have our heroine who usually sometimes helps out the government with her hacking skills, and her next mission is to find out what the hero is hiding. So she kind of infiltrates his life, but she like gets really possessive over our hero, and I kind of love it. Some areas of the relationship was super obvious, but I kind of wanted to see how it played out. I was just entertained the whole time I was reading this. I really enjoyed it. I love the heroine. I loved how different she was. Like I said, super possessive and protective over the hero, even though she still hadn't revealed her identity to him. And I really liked how our hero was very like pleasant to her and like literally kissed the ground that she walked on. Overall though, I did give this 4 stars, I believe, or 3.5 stars. I can't remember. I think it was 4 stars. Yeah, I gave it 3.5 stars, but I rented it up to a 4 star. So basically, the reason why this didn't get like a 5 star was because, or at least like a solid 4 star. I don't want to spoil anything, but at the end we find out something about our hero, and I really wish that low-key this novella was a little bit longer, just because I really wanted to see our hero doing all of these things that he had done or said that he had done, and how long he had been doing that, and like just I kind of want to just see his perspective and like his actions and not just the heroine's. And I wanted more to learn more about how he had met our heroine. I really loved it. I loved the concept. Wished it was longer. 3.5 stars. After that one, I ended up going onto Minx backlist, and I ended up picking up Unexpected Queen by Minx. This is a badass heroine, kind of. It is arranged marriage. We have a heroine who seems very sassy, but she's not. She gets like this wind of like talking back, but then she like gets super scared, and it wasn't my favorite. I liked the romance, but I didn't love it. We have our heroine who gets arranged marriage to our hero, and it's just kind of, you know, the usual arranged marriage novella. I don't have much to say about this one. And then last book that I read for the month of July was Unexpected Love by Minx. This is actually the second book in like this little novella series. I love this one way more. I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. Yeah, I gave this one 3.5 stars because I loved it more than the previous one. But this one is a kidnapping romance. Our hero sees our heroine through a video one time, and then he goes and kidnaps her because she's like arranged to marry this really bad guy, and he's like, absolutely not, I'm gonna kidnap her, keep her safe. And that's what he does. And he is actually the hero from the first book, Mafia Enforcer, and then the heroine is the heroine from the first book's sister. So he goes and kidnaps her. So for one, if you like kidnapping romances, this one's for you. I loved our hero. I love that he was an enforcer killer, but he was also the biggest softie for our heroine and only our heroine. And I just loved just the position from having a killer hero with like a sheltered innocent heroine. And I just thought overall it was really cute and I really enjoyed it, and the smutty scenes were smuttying and I ate it up. But that was the last book that I read in the month of July. Let me know what your favorite book of July was. I would love to know. And if you don't want to comment any of that, then go ahead and comment a rose down below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.